Anyways, when I was little, I wanted to be a rock star. But it hurt my fingers. Metal, steel, strings. So I gave up on that dream. Actually, I had cards. When I was 5, I drew this. It was the only piece of artwork that my parents ever put in a frame, but it was a telling sign of something in my future. By the way, it is an upside-down helicopter. That's all I remember. Life really is a long and winding road. Even though you may think it's always going straight, it's really not. But whatever your dreams are, it's really helpful that you try to follow them as much as you can. And by the end of this, you'll find out that I did. So through high school and junior high, I really actually focused more on writing for some reason, and photography, and music. I actually did play trumpet and piano, taught myself how to play piano. So there were all these arts flowing through my life that were just there, and I didn't really know what to do with them. So I became a writer first. I got my undergraduate degree in journalism from College Park in the advertising sequence, and set foot to New York, where I wanted to become the copywriter extraordinaire for Ogilvy and Mather, one of the top agencies in the city. I got there for my first interview. The lady said, "You're too green." And I walked out the door humbled and disappointed and never got back. Again, the microphones. I thought you guys need to hear me. But I continued writing. Ended up getting a job for 2 now dead retail outlets doing copywriting for fashion. Now, when you work in fashion and you're doing writing for fashion, what you hear constantly is that people don't read the words. They just look at the pictures. Oh, I forgot to take the rock star sunglasses off. Sorry. So as a writer, that's kind of frustrating to hear that you're working really hard on words and that people aren't really reading them. So this was like the late 80s, early 90s. And then this miracle happened called the desktop revolution. So what used to be done all by hand by designers and production artists was all switched to desktops. And they fired all the production artists, sadly, and basically made the writers production artists as well as writers, and they did it all on computer. This is when I started thinking about becoming a graphic designer, because all of a sudden I had a tool that actually allowed me to bring my visions together versus my little helicopter, which really doesn't look like a helicopter at all. So honestly, I can't draw very well. Then came change. So after my writing career, I actually quit my job approximately 2 months before I got married. Yeah, my wife was not thrilled, but she had someone to help finish planning the wedding, so that worked out well. I spent the next 2 years working temp jobs, freelancing, and going to graduate school, where I got my master's in publication design from the University of Baltimore. This gave me license to now say on paper what I knew in my heart, was that not only was I a writer, but I was also a graphic designer. And this is actually a more recent piece that I did. It's a brochure for an organization called Be More Streets. I also actually happen to be the chairperson for that organization, and so I had to do it for free, which is part of life too. It's fun. I really love designing. I think it's a great career. It's hard sometimes because, like a musician, you have to face a lot of rejection, and we'll get to that page in a second. But sometimes the work can be a lot of fun. These are 2 ads that I did. The one on the left, my right, your left, is an ad for Metropolitan Cafe that went in a program guide for the Bach concert series, and I did that last year. The one on the right is an ad that I did for a current client, and actually this is a more trade situation, so I do ads for them and they give me massages. Not a bad deal. Oh, they also pay a little cash, but mainly the massages. And you still have to tip them, which I don't quite, but. And sometimes it doesn't work out. These are all logos that I've done where the clients just basically, we just didn't come together. Like I said, you're still going to face some rejection along the road. The first one I actually did for a friend of mine who was a designer, so I really don't know why they didn't like it because she never told me, but I never saw it again. So I still have it. I thought it was pretty cool. The one on the right, what I've learned about working with accountants is they're really creative guys, but they lack imagination. Their reaction was make the circle bigger, and they just didn't get it. And that happens. The funny thing about that client, I actually went back and did speech consulting with them, so I still made some money. The bottom one, actually physical therapy, is my wife's friend who's a physical therapist. She really loved this artwork that she had that was done by Da Vinci, I believe. And I forget the guy's name, it's the name, but now I can't remember it. But thank you. The Vitruvian Man art, which you've probably seen everywhere and any place, dealing with physical therapy or other kind of physical things. People love it. It's overused. Her artwork that she has on her website, from a design standpoint, is just, may I say, horrendous. She's got Vitruvian Man, which she stole from someone else, and didn't even try to change it, and then has her type offset, not a structure, just really messy. So being the good friend that I was, I said, let me fix that for you. So we came up with this logo, which she thoroughly rejected because she liked her old logo. These things happen, and you let people go even though it's really ugly, and you've already told her that in a sense, but you learn to say those things without hurting people's feelings, obviously. I still think it's a pretty cool logo. But then again, you do have your quirky clients. And then you have the clients that actually you hit a home run with. The one on the left is basically telecom. That's one of those logos that just sort of hit me in the middle of the night, and I actually got up at 3 a.m. and designed it in 15 minutes. A little bit was luck. A little was just sort of, I don't remember exactly how I got those 3 little doodad wire things, but Illustrator's a great tool, and sometimes a mistake becomes greatness. So that client's still been using their logo for about 4 years now, which is always a good sign. The one on the right, Goal is a funny story. They came to me about 8 years ago, and when my cousin was the executive director, family connections always helps, and they actually did pay for this. And they had this problem, their name was Goal, and they worked with this program called Score, and people kept getting them confused because we'd all much rather score than goal, right? Because if someone else gets the goal, it's no fun. But if you score, that's it. So my first suggestion from a branding standpoint was change your name. But the board didn't really like that idea. So I had to come up with a logo that would really take them away from that sport motif and make them more educational, which is actually their goal, obviously. They work with underprivileged children in New York City to help give them money to get better educational benefits and activities. So that logo was created and designed. A friend of mine helped me with the illustration of the O and made it into a face with a mortar bird. Because again, I can't draw. I can see it, I just can't draw it. And that logo has been through 2 executive directors and 8 years of use. That is usually a very unusual thing. When someone takes the head of a company usually, especially smaller ones, the first thing they want to change is what? The logo. Not for any reason other than the fact that it's not their logo. But that one has stayed on for a good time. And the one on the bottom, talking about connections and cooperation, it was my vision. I knew my friend Chuck, who needed actually some money, so I hired him to bring my idea to life. And he did the drawing of my concept, and he made money, I didn't, but it was for a good cause. And that's the logo for Be More Streets, for people. But the really goal of everything is, in the end, I am a rock star. You can find me in the record store at Barnes & Noble in the local artist section. This is a logo I did for a friend of mine. This was actually my only logo I've done on a napkin. And it was very successful, and actually if you do go to Barnes & Noble downtown and you go to the local artist section, you can see my logo in the record store. to summarize, I really think if you follow your dreams, you do what you love, but make sure you're making some money, you should end up pretty good. And it helps to have multiple skills. Like I said, I do writing and design and also teach. So thank you for your time. And I appreciate it.